Okay, have you ever felt completely, utterly trapped by a system? Where the rules seem designed to make you fail?
Oh, yeah. That feeling where trying to get out just digs you in deeper.
Exactly, that kind of maddening sense that logic has just, well, left the building. It's something pretty universal, I think, that feeling about bureaucracy.
Definitely.
Well, welcome everyone to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a real giant, Joseph Heller's Catch-22. It came out in 1961, an anti-war novel, yes, but so much more.
It really is. It's satire, dark comedy.
Right, and a pretty profound critique of war, power, and just how illogical systems can get. It's hilarious sometimes, but also deeply unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission here is to kind of peel back the layers of this amazing book. We want to explore how Heller managed to capture the sheer absurdity of conflict so well.
And how he created that phrase Catch-22 that we all use now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And why it still feels so relevant today. Think of this as your guide to the core genius of the book, without getting lost in all the details.
It's a complex book, for sure.
It is. And to really get it, I think we need to start with Heller himself. The book is set in World War II, but the themes, they feel like they could be about right now.
They really are timeless.
Okay, so let's unpack this. How did Heller's own experiences, his time in the war, become the bedrock for this really biting commentary?
Well, that's what's so fascinating. Catch-22 isn't just imagination. It's deeply rooted in Joseph Heller's life.
Mm-hmm.
He was an American novelist, obviously known for satire, dark humor.
Mm-hmm.
But crucially, he was a bombardier in World War II.
Yeah.
Flew 60 combat missions, Italy, France. This wasn't abstract for him.
60 missions, wow.
Yeah, and that firsthand experience, the daily fear and the absurdity he saw, that shaped everything into Catch-22.
You can feel it.
Absolutely. He apparently said the first sentence just popped into his head one day. It was love at first sight. The first time Yossarian saw the chaplain, he fell madly in love with him.
Huh. Strange place to start.
Right. But that Stark, coming from his real experiences, let him build this world that feels both completely chaotic and real, but also, like, exaggerated perfectly for satire. He was channeling his own stuff into art.
Makes sense. It gives that edge of authenticity to the madness.
Exactly. It feels visceral.
And that really grounds the predicament of Captain John Yossarian, our main guy. The whole story revolves around him, right? A U.S. Army Air Force bombardier in WWII.
Yeah, Yossarian.
And his goal is painfully simple. Just survive, get through the missions, go home.
That's all he wants.
But the system, the rules, or maybe the lack of logic in the rules, makes that almost impossible. His whole life becomes this fight against these forces he just can't control.
Forces that seem determined to keep him flying until he breaks or dies.
Which brings us straight to the core, the absolute heart of the novel, the infamous Catch-22.
Ah, yes, the catch itself.
Once you get it, you see how insidious it is. Not just a rule, but like you said, a mental trap. Could you walk us through how it actually works, how it controls people?
Sure. It sounds simple on the surface, but it's devastating. So the rule says a soldier can be grounded if he's insane.
Okay, seems reasonable enough.
But, and this is the catch, if you ask to be grounded, that very request is taken as proof that you are in fact sane.
Because,
the logic goes, wanting to avoid deadly combat missions is a perfectly rational response. Only a sane person would want to get out of flying.
So if you ask to stop because you think it's crazy, you prove you're not crazy.
Exactly. You're sane if you want out, which means you have to keep flying. There's literally no escape built into the rule itself.
Wow, yeah.
It's a perfect example of how logic gets completely flipped to keep power structures in place. It's more than just military orders. It's like institutional gaslighting almost.
Gaslighting, yeah, making you doubt your own sanity for wanting to live.
Precisely. The system makes you question your own rational thoughts, your survival instinct. Heller shows how these structures just wear down your sense of self, your agency. It's psychological warfare disguised as bureaucracy.
Keeps you in the grinder, as you said. Chilling. And Heller doesn't just leave it as a rule, he shows it through these characters. They're caricatures, sure, but they reflect the system.
Oh, absolutely. They embody different facets of the absurdity.
Like Yossarian himself. He's not your typical hero, is he?
Not at all. An anti-hero, really.
His only goal is to stay alive. That's it. He tries everything, moving the bomb line on maps, pretending he's sick.
Even trying to desert at one point.
Yeah. His attempts to game the system, find any loophole, are central. You watch him struggle against this massive, unfeeling machine, and you can't help but root for him.
Even though you know it's probably futile.
Right. Then you've got characters like Colonel Cathcart.
Ah, Cathcart, the bureaucrat.
Totally. He seems completely removed from the human cost. All he cares about is raising the number of missions the men have to fly. Why? For his own prestige.
Gets him noticed, maybe a promotion.
Exactly. It's pure self-serving bureaucracy.
Yeah.
His ambition directly makes Yossarian's situation worse, constantly moving the goalposts. How many missions is enough? It keeps changing.
It's a terrifying look at how personal ego in a hierarchy can have lethal consequences down the line.
And then, Milo Minderbinder.
Oh, Milo. Now there's a character.
He takes capitalism, like unchecked capitalism, to this completely absurd extreme, this syndicate he builds.
M&M Enterprises. Everyone has a share.
Yeah. And he profits from both sides of the war, trading with the enemy, bombing his own base for a contract. It's insane.
It's Heller pushing the logic of profit to its absolute terrifying endpoint. If money can be made, things like morality, loyalty, even lives, they just don't matter in Milo's world.
He's the ultimate moral compromise, right? Profit over everything. Patriotism, ethics, basic decency,
Yeah.
gone.
He really embodies that dark side of the war economy.
And we shouldn't forget Dr. Nika.
Right, the flight surgeon. Kind of tragic in a way.
Yeah, he represents the powerless cog in the machine. He's trapped by the rules, too. He knows Yossarian isn't crazy for wanting out. He gets the absurdity of Catch-22.
But he can't do anything. The regulations bind him just as tightly.
So even the people within the system who see its flaws are just as stuck. They can't help. They can't change it.
It highlights the impotence sometimes felt, even by those meant to provide care or enforce rules within such a rigid structure.
Okay, so we have Yossarian fighting for his life, Cathcart climbing the ladder, Milo making money off everyone, and Dr. Nika just stuck. These aren't just characters in a book from decades ago.
No, they feel very familiar. Archetypes, almost.
You see them everywhere, right?
Yeah.
People trying to navigate ridiculous rules, people prioritizing ambition, people exploiting systems, people feeling powerless. That's why they work so well to explore the big themes.
Absolutely. They make the abstract ideas concrete and relatable.
And the biggest theme, maybe the most obvious one, is just the raw absurdity of war itself.
Yeah, Heller is relentless on that point.
Yeah.
Showing how these illogical systems force individuals into impossible choices between survival and so-called duty.
It makes you ask, what does duty even mean when the orders seem irrational or actively harmful?
Right. And the military logic Heller portrays often feels like it exists just to perpetuate itself, not necessarily to achieve a strategic goal effectively or protect its people. The mission count thing is perfect.
It just keeps going up.
Not because the war demands it, but because Cathcart wants a fancier report. It creates this environment where being heroic means doing more dangerous, potentially pointless things, and wanting to be safe is seen as suspect.
Which feeds right into that theme of bureaucracy and paradox. Catch-22 is the prime example, but the whole system seems built on these self-defeating loops.
Exactly. The rules aren't there to help. They're there to trap. They create this illusion of order, but underneath it's chaos, and the individual gets ground down.
The bureaucracy itself becomes this, like, living thing.
Yes. More concerned with following its own rules, no matter how nonsensical, than achieving its actual purpose. The paradox isn't just clever writing. It represents how real-world systems, military, corporate government can get so tangled in their own red tape, they lose sight of common sense or humanity.
The justification for the rule is just the rule itself.
Precisely. A closed loop. No way in for reason.
And we touched on Milo, but that theme of capitalism and corruption deserves another look. It's such a sharp critique. War is a business opportunity.
It's incredibly cynical, but powerful. Heller uses Milo to strip away any romantic ideas about war. For some, it's just a market.
Buy low, sell high, even if it's morphine or bombing your own guys.
And Milo's line, "What's good for M&M Enterprises is good for the country." That's such a direct hit at how corporate greed can wrap itself in the flag.
It forces you to think about where that line is, profit versus patriotism, especially when the profit motive seems to undermine the whole point of the fight.
It's an uncomfortable question, and still relevant. Which leads to that other big question the book throws at us. Sanity versus insanity.
Yeah, who's really crazy here?
Is it Yossarian for desperately wanting to live? Or is the system itself the one demanding endless sacrifice for shifting, often illogical reasons, the actual madness?
Heller keeps flipping it, right? Making us question what we think sane even means in a context like that.
It feels like he's arguing that trying to stay rational, trying to preserve yourself in an irrational, self-destructive system, maybe that's the truly sane response.
Which brings us to the symbolism. It's not just plot and character. The book is loaded with symbols. Catch-22 itself is the big one. How does it become more than just a rule?
It transcends the specific military context. It becomes the symbol for any situation where you're trapped by contradictory rules, where logic is used against you, an inescapable paradox created by an oppressive system.
A mental cage, like you said earlier.
Exactly. Built on circular reasoning that always justifies itself. It stands for any arbitrary bureaucratic trap.
And the endless missions, what do they symbolize?
They represent that constant exploitation by large impersonal institutions. The goalposts always moving, your efforts never being enough. It symbolizes how individuals can be just ground down, used up by systems that don't care about them.
Creates that feeling of futility, like nothing you do matters against this huge machine.
A deep psychological toll.
And Milo Syndicate, again, it really functions strongly as a symbol too, doesn't it?
Definitely. Unchecked capitalism, the erosion of morality in wartime, profit as the only god, basically. It's a very stark symbol.
So philosophically, it feels like there's a lot going on too. It's not just satire.
No, it's deeply philosophical. There's a strong current of existentialism. Yossarian's struggle is existential. Trying to assert his will, which is just the will to survive, find a meaning in a chaotic, indifferent universe, which in his case is the military.
When the system makes no sense, the only meaning is staying alive.
Right. Heller seems to say that's the only rational choice left. And that directly challenges blind patriotism, unquestioning obedience. It forces the reader to ask, is this logical? Is this right?
Strips away the heroic veneer.
It does. It shows the mechanics underneath. It has that theater of the absurd feel, confronting meaninglessness, but with a really sharp political edge. Very American in that way.
All of which explains its incredible legacy, I think. It came out in '61, became huge, really defined anti-war literature for a generation.
Absolutely. It captured the disillusionment that was growing.
And the phrase itself, Catch-22, entered the dictionary. That's massive cultural impact. Shorthand for any impossible no-win situation.
A testament to how deeply it resonated. It named a feeling, an experience people recognized.
So the enduring message seems pretty clear, doesn't it?
I think so. War dehumanizes. Institutions are often absurd and self-serving. Survival might mean questioning authority, thinking critically.
Don't just accept illogical demands, hold on to your humanity.
Yeah, it's a call to stay rational, even when the world seems bent on making you crazy. Look at the systems, not just the individuals.
It really is amazing how a book from over 60 years ago feels like it could have been written last week. Those frustrating, illogical systems, they're still here.
Government, work, sometimes just daily life.
Yeah, the spirit of Catch-22 persists because that struggle against absurdity, against baffling rules, it's still very much part of the human condition.
Unfortunately, maybe.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe something to think about is where you encounter your own Catch-22s, in your daily life.
Where do you see those rules that just make no sense?
Or systems that trap you instead of helping. Situations where trying to fix something makes it worse. How do you navigate that? How do you deal with a world that sometimes feels completely irrational?
It's a good question to reflect on.
Catch-22 is just such a powerful reminder of how literature can illuminate these universal things about us, about our systems. It encourages us to question, to really look closely, and maybe find our own ways to push back against the absurdity Yossarian style.